Right, we'll go ahead and get started. Once again, my name is Brian Suh. Thank you for joining today's webinar, where we'll be talking about Desk Connect and how to synchronize your data between Desk and Salesforce. My role here at Desk.com is I am the onboarding and training specialist here at Desk, and it's my role to create customer content for you guys as customers to learn our product better. So if you guys do have any feedback in terms of what resources you would like to see or what methods you would like to see in terms of learning Desk, please do let me know. We are very open to hearing feedback and we do love it. All right, just a few housekeeping items before we begin. The training portion of our webinar will be just about 20 minutes. During the training portion, if you do have any questions, feel free to type them into the GoToWebinar questions panel, and we'll get those answered towards the end. We will as well have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the session as well. And as always, we are recording today's session, so if you would like to watch the recording at a later time and maybe set up your instance of Desk Connect, we will email that out to you. Also, if you can't stay with us for the entire time, we will also email out the recording to you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So let's first begin by talking about what is Desk Connect. Desk Connect is the full bidirectional sync between Desk and Salesforce. And by default, out of the box, Desk Connect is going to sync with the three main CRM objects between Desk and Salesforce, meaning the case, the contact, and the account. Now, we did have an old integration with Salesforce where we used to use a custom standard case object in Salesforce, completely out of the box. But now with Desk Connect, you can use a different standard case object in Salesforce, and you can now use all those canned reports that are already set up for you in Salesforce. Now, we don't only sync the case, contact, and account objects, but we also sync the interactions on a case as well. So, for example, if you're reaching out to your customers and your customers are reaching out to you, those interactions are being captured in Desk, and we push those interactions to the case in Salesforce. So now, anyone looking at a case in Salesforce is going to be able to see the complete customer history and all the interactions you've had with that customer. Now, that's great, but why do we even want to connect sales and service? Well, there's a couple of main points, and it's about achieving that 360-degree view of a customer. It's about having the complete view from the customer history to all the interactions the customer's had to even information about a sales opportunity that you've had. So from a sales perspective, we know that your sales team is going to be more effective if they have access to customer service cases. And that's one of the main features of Desk Connect, being able to connect your sales team that's living in Salesforce and customer service team that's living in Desk. So for example, if your customer service team is creating cases in Desk and syncing cases in Salesforce, and now your sales team is looking at an opportunity and they're looking at a contact and they're able to see the customer service history from that contact. So they're able to go into a sales note and say, hey, I know you've had 7 open cases with us and we've solved the last 4, and it looks like the last 3 are in development. And ultimately, this is really going to make your customers happier. It's going to make your customers trust you more as a brand. It's going to make your sales team more effective. Now, on the flip side, we know that your service team is going to have a better experience with the customer if they do have some sales data come in. The salesperson can write a note or an internal case comment in Salesforce saying, hey, I talked to the customer and they're a little bit unhappy about this one aspect, so just to let you know before you reach out to the customer. Again, so ultimately it's about having that 360-degree view of the customer. So let's talk about a few prerequisites that are needed to enable this amazing feature. The first thing that's needed is that you need to be a Salesforce customer and have a Salesforce Professional Edition or above. Next, in Salesforce, we want to make sure that the case priority pick list values have been added, and those are going to be high, medium, and low. Next, the other field in Salesforce that we're going to check is the case status. As a Salesforce system administrator, we need to go into setup and make sure that the case priority and case statuses have the correct value. For status specifically, it's going to be new, open, pending, and resolved. And you may even have closed in there. All right. Then on the desk side, we want to make sure that you are also a desk professional planner above, in addition to being a Salesforce professional planner above. Next, object mapping. Remember that the three standard objects that we map are case, contact, and account. In Desk, we call Salesforce contacts customers. So any customer records that are created in the Desk application using Desk, Disconnect, these will get synced over as your Salesforce contacts now. In Desk, we call Salesforce accounts companies. So whenever you create a company in Desk, those will get synced over to Salesforce as accounts now. For contacts, we actually use the email as the unique identifier and also the phone number to match the contact record in Salesforce. For the account, we use the exact account name to match the record. Next, let's talk about Desk cases to Salesforce cases. Now, we're able to create these and have them under the correct account and contact in Salesforce by editing the layout. We want to make sure in Salesforce that your standard case object is visible within your contact and account layouts. So if you're using an install package integration, which we do offer, you'll notice that these cases are going to a custom object called Desk.com cases. Using Disconnect, what we do is sync to the native case object that comes with Salesforce. So now you as an administrator can run better reporting in Salesforce and create even dashboards. All right, next, let's talk about the things to consider post-enablement. When we enable Disconnect, only new cases, customers, and company records that are created or edited in either system will sync. So if you have any historical data, then all you need to do is, as an agent or an administrator, initiate a bulk update. Now, you don't necessarily have to change the status or any other fields in Desk, but once you do open the case and edit, the system will be able to sync those cases over to Salesforce. Now, one more thing to note about the standard case object is that the cases get synced over the native case object. So within the related list in Salesforce, you want to make sure that this case object is visible. If not, you'll need to contact the Salesforce administrator and edit the layout. And we'll actually walk through that process as well. Now for syncing time. Whenever you make any edits from Desk.com or create a case or customer, these updates will instantaneously get synced over to Salesforce. Now, when making changes on the Salesforce side, it takes up to 5 minutes to appear within Desk. All right, next here, field mapping. What's great about Disconnect is that we not only give the ability to bi-directionally sync information, but on top of that, you can also map fields. If you have custom fields created in Salesforce, you have the ability to map those over to Desk, so your Desk agents have the ability to see that information. Here are the standard field mappings per object. So when we enable Disconnect for cases, we'll be able to map the status, priority, subject, and description without any additional setup. For context, it'll be the name, title, phone, and email. And for account, it's the account name. And these are the standard fields that, again, automatically get mapped over once we enable Disconnect. If you want to map your custom fields, here now are the 4 data points we have the ability to sync with, and that's going to be text, pick list, checkbox, and date. Our next point here is that case numbers are not synced by default. Desk case numbers are different from Salesforce case numbers. So in order for your Salesforce representative to be able to log in and quickly see which desk case is associated to the corresponding Salesforce case, we can achieve this with the custom field mapping. And if you would like more information on creating this workflow, then you can always reach out to our support team and we can walk you through that. Now, our last point here is that the Desk Connect integration does not count against your API, Salesforce API limit. So for those of you administrators that are always conscious about your API limits that come with your plan, luckily with Desk Connect, you don't have to worry about that at all. All right, so what we'll do now is shift gears and we'll actually walk you through enabling this on the desk side as well as all the things you need to take care of on the Salesforce side. So let's hop over to my instance of Desk. Now, before starting anything, you want to make sure that you're logged in with the user with the highest level of permissions, and that's often the billing admin. So make sure you log in with as a billing admin. And then what you'll do is, right now, I'm logged in into the agent console, but I'm going to go ahead and switch over. I click the hamburger icon here, and then I'm going to click on the admin console, and that'll switch me over to the settings area. So this is the admin console where you configure Desk, add team members, set up your channels, set up logic for your cases. I'm going to go here to the right-hand side here to the gear icon, and that's our global settings here, and I'll click into there. And then down on the left panel, we should see Desk Connect. Now, if you're not seeing this Desk Connect area here, then you will have to contact our support team to have this enabled, because we actually do have to enable it in your system configuration for you to be able to see this. Now, once you do see it, you can go ahead and click on it. And then you'll have this toggle. Yours initially will be off, but then you can go and just toggle it on. It'll take about 30 seconds to a minute to actually connect. But once it is finished, you'll see these three tabs here: company, customer, and case. Now let's just discuss this really quickly. So what this settings area is, the purpose of this is we're telling this area how I want the interaction to flow. So for my companies that are in Desk and accounts that are in Salesforce, we're saying, hey, for companies, we want the flow from Salesforce to Desk to be turned on and the flow from Desk to Salesforce to be turned on. Okay, and so I would recommend turning both of those on. The same for customers. We can go ahead and dictate the flow of information from Salesforce to Desk to be on, and then Desk to Salesforce to also be on. And then lastly, cases as well. Same thing, Salesforce to Desk and Desk to Salesforce. Now, I will say that some of our customers do choose to only turn on the flow of information for cases. Some companies do choose to actually leave the company and customer off, but I would always definitely recommend turning on both the flow from Salesforce to Desk and Desk to Salesforce for your cases specifically. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and give it a quick save here. All right, perfect. Now what we want to do is switch over to the Salesforce side. And then here we want to do just a couple of things. We want to go to our setup area. And then here, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick search for cases. And there's a couple of ways to look for cases, but this is kind of the fastest, easiest way that I've found. And then we'll go under, on the left-hand side, we see cases here. And just if you're curious, it is under build, customize cases, and then we're going to go to fields. Excuse me. All right, now that we're under fields, we're going to scroll down just a little bit and look for priority. And I'll click edit right here. Oh, let me go back. I'm going to actually just click into priority so I can see here. All right, so when we click into priority, the three values that we're looking for are high, medium, and low, and we are seeing that, so perfect. If you are not seeing those, you can simply just go ahead and add them by clicking on the button here. So mine looks good. I'm going to go back. The next thing under cases that I want to look for is status. So I'll click in here, and again, it's in the same area. We're in cases and fields, and then we'll go to status. And again, before I mentioned, in the PowerPoint, I mentioned that the statuses that we're looking for are new, open, pending, and resolved, and we see all those. And you also may have closed here, which is fine. You can go ahead and leave that. I'll kind of explain when we get to the desk side what this really means. But for now, we just want to make sure that those values are visible here. And if they're not, you can go ahead and add them here as well. All right. So our priorities look good, our statuses look good. Now, we want to make sure that that this information is visible on the contacts and the account. So what we want to do now is edit the layouts. So a really simple way that I like to edit the layouts is I'll actually go to a account here, and then I'll click into an actual account here that I have, and then I'll simply go to edit layout. All right. So where we want to go is we want to go to the related list. So I'll click that on the bottom of my, it looks like it's at the bottom of my list here. And then the object that we're looking for is cases. Now mine is here and it's already grayed out, meaning that's it's already been added. But let me go ahead and just drag it back just to show you what it looks like. So now we have cases and I can now click on it and then I can go ahead and add it to my related list here. And then I can also go ahead and just drag if I wanted to ever change the order of it. But I want it to actually show first, so let me do that. And then I'll give it a quick save. All right, and then we simply want to do the same for our contact. So I'll click into an actual contact that I have. Let's go to Regina Haver here. And then the same, I'm going to go ahead and go to Edit Layout on the right-hand side. And again, this is just one method to edit the layout. And the same thing, I'm going to go to the related list here. All right, and once again, it's been added, but let's go ahead and just add it back here just so we can see. We see cases again. Now I can click on it and drag and add it to my related list. And then I'll give it a quick save here. All right, so now our statuses and priorities look good in Salesforce, and we've also made the cases visible on our contact and account records. All right, now what we want to do is jump back to the desk side. And once again, I'm in the admin. And what we now want to look at is field mapping. So under Desk Connect, once again, I'm already in the admin and I'm in settings. And then we clicked on our Desk Connect tab, and then I'm going to go to field mappings here. All right, so we have a similar layout of company, customer, and cases. So let's take a quick look at each of these. So under company, we have what we call mappable fields, and then if we scroll down quite a bit here, we have our non-configurable fields. So just as it sounds, the non-configurable fields are the fields that we cannot change, like the parent account ID, the account description, things like that. Those we cannot change, those are set. Now, the mappable fields are going to be, those Salesforce fields that you can map to custom desk fields. So if you have any fields like that, we can create a custom field in Desk and then map those over. And then we're going to have the same setup for our customers. We'll have our mappable fields. Again, we can map custom fields over. We can create custom fields in Desk and map those over. And then we also have here on the bottom the non-configurable fields. Again, information that we cannot change. Now, a little bit more interesting is the cases. So we're going to take a look at some of the stuff that we've done in Salesforce. So again, we have our mappable fields, but let's actually go down to our non-configurable fields just to make sure that the really important things are mapping correctly. So in Salesforce, we wanted to first check the status and priority. So status here, we just want to make sure we want to take a quick view just to make sure that the Salesforce statuses are matching with the desk statuses that we already have. And again, the desk statuses are already pre-configured, so we just want to make sure that they're matching. New, close, resolved, that's going to be fine. Just leave that as is. But resolved is resolved, open, pending. And now what we want to look at is priority. Now, for those of you that have been using Salesforce a long time, we know that priority is handled in terms of low, medium, and high. But in Desk, we handle priority on a scale of 1 to 10. So the way that the Desk Connect integration handles that is that the low values in Salesforce are going to equate to a 1 to 4 in Desk. a medium in Salesforce is going to equate to a 5 to 9 in Desk, and a high value in Salesforce is going to equate to a 10 critical in Desk. So as long as that's looking correct, then that's perfect. And then we can go ahead and give that a quick save as well. All right, perfect. And just to kind of note here, also, once again, if you have Salesforce fields that you want to map over to Desk fields, we can go ahead and create a custom field in Desk. Like, for example, the Desk case number. Again, the Desk case here that you see here on the Desk field side, this is a custom field that we've created so that the Desk case number does appear. Okay, and once again, do reach out to our support team if you'd like information on that. All right, so that looks perfect. So after all of that, your instance of Desk Connect is set up and the flow of information from Desk to Salesforce, Salesforce to Desk is complete. Now, one really common workflow that we get requests for from customers is, hey, syncing my, let's actually go back here. I'm going to go to settings in my Desk Connect. They say we get a lot of requests for case flows. So some people say that, yeah, I want my Salesforce information to flow to Desk. We want that sync to happen automatically. But some customers say that, I don't want every single Desk interaction to sync over to Salesforce. I want to be able to choose, those important cases, if it's an escalation or if it's a refund of some sorts, interactions like that. Then and only then do I want the interaction to sync from Desk to Salesforce. And for that, we have what we call a workflow called selective sync. So we can create a custom field in Desk where we can toggle yes or no, and then when and only then, when it's toggled to yes, will that information flow over. So what we can do is, I'm here in the admin, I'm going to first create that custom field. So I'll go to Cases, and then once again, I'll go to Cases on the left side. And it automatically pops me to custom field. So we can simply add a custom field with this button here. But let's actually just look at the one that I've already created. And I've named mine Sync to Salesforce. So I'll go ahead and click into it. So you can give it a name here and then give it a key. The key will simply be, a word system without any spaces, and I've just used underscore to get around that. The data type I want is a list, and then my list is simply just yes and no. So I've added values using the plus sign here. I can go ahead and add yes and no. Let me go and cancel that here. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that the order is no and yes here. If I want to change the order, I can use my, I'll select my value and just select the up arrow as so. Now the reason why we want no to be on top is because we want the default value as no. So what I've chosen here is top data value to be no. Okay. If you do click custom text and leave it blank, then it'll blank, or you can actually just type in no here as the default value. But I do recommend just having no as your top value and then selecting the top data value as your default. All right, let's go ahead and update that. So perfect. Now what we want to do is we want to actually create a rule. So I'll go back to our settings here. And then when I go to Desk Connect, I'll go to settings, then I'll go to cases. Now, so what we want to do is, again, we're dictating which Desk cases get synced over to Salesforce. So we can simply add a condition. And let's take a look at the one that I've already set up. So we want to go ahead and here, all of your custom fields will appear here. So I'm going to select my custom field, sync to Salesforce. And if and when that value is yes, then and only then will the Desk interaction sync over to Salesforce. So very simple workflow of dictating which Desk cases get synced over to Salesforce cases. Okay. All right. And then I'll go ahead, excuse me, I'll go ahead and save that. So let's take a quick look at what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the next gen agent. And let's click into a case here. All right. And so my sync to Salesforce is now here. So I've selected no. So only when I go ahead and select a yes and I click update or update and resolve, then and only then will this sync over to the Salesforce side. All right, so simple workflow. All right, and that's the majority of the information that I want to share with you guys today. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and pause for a moment and answer some questions. All right, and if you do have any questions, feel free to type them into the GoToWebinar questions panel, and we'll get those answered. All right, and it looks like we have a question about selective sync. For selective sync, can you only use a custom field? We'd like to use priority or maybe status as the sync field. And that is a good question. It would in fact be the custom field. And you could possibly create maybe a rule. So you could create a rule in Salesforce, I'm sorry, in Desk saying if the priority is a value of 10, then it automatically sets the custom field as yes. And then when the custom field is yes, then it syncs over from Desk to Salesforce. So there is kind of a workaround. You could probably do the same for status as well, saying if and when the status is set to resolve, then automatically set the custom field for sync to Salesforce as yes, and then it'll sync over. So to answer your question, it has to be custom field, but there's a way to kind of get around that as well. Thank you for that question. All right, another question here. Um, Looks like you've been using the next gen agent. We use the classic agent. Can we use Desk Connect with that still? The simple answer is yes. Desk Connect works with the classic agent as well as the next gen agent. Even for the admin, if you haven't upgraded your skin, and I think all new accounts have the new upgraded skin, so you should have that. But it works with both the classic and next gen agent. All right. How does Desk and Salesforce know they're syncing the right contact? Is the email address the primary identifier? And yes, that is correct. The email address is the primary unique identifier. And just as a backup, as a secondary identifier, we do use the phone number. And then for the account, it's always going to be the exact account name that we use to match over. All right. We are coming to a close right now. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and officially wrap up our session. And thank you guys for coming. And please do reach out to support@desk.com if you do have any questions or if you need assistance with setting this up. But I will officially end our session, but I will stay on the line for any of those that have any other questions. And I am answering some of these privately as well. So thank you for your questions. All right. Thank you and have a great day, everyone. Bye.